Here is another video update, and in this video I'm going to talk about Zelensky's speech in the Greek parliament. And this has been quite an event here in Greece. And what a disaster for this country, what a disaster for the Greek political class, for our Prime Minister Mitsotakis, for his MPs, his New Democracy Party, a complete disaster. And I'm going to explain why. So, we had Zelensky on his world speaking tour, and that's what it is. This is a theater show, and Zelensky is going around from parliament to parliament giving scripted speeches, and MPs in various parliaments are being instructed to clap and to play out this theatrical spectacle. I believe a week ago he was in Ireland speaking to the Irish Parliament. And now he's made his way over to Greece. And Victoria Nuland was just in Greece. And now Zelensky is in Greece speaking to the parliament. And Nuland is going to be going to Cyprus. Actually, she's in Cyprus today. And she's having meetings with the Anastasiadis government, trying to strong-arm them to place more sanctions on Russia, be tougher with Russia, and of course, to hand over their weapons, their Russian weapons, over to Ukraine. But there are rumors that Zelensky is going to be speaking to the Cypriot parliament as well. So make no mistake about it, where Nuland goes, Zelensky follows. And so I think it's very clear who's puppeteering this theater show, this spectacle that we are seeing, that is driving the European Union towards an economic cliff, and that may drive the entire planet into some sort of nuclear confrontation. But let's get back to Greece now. I'm going to read you a statement from the Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis and some statements from various parliamentarians, MPs. And the reason I'm going to read you these statements is because, well, during his speech he talked about what's going on in Ukraine and the evil Russians and the barbaric Russians, and how the Greek government has to provide more weapons to Ukraine. They have to be tougher with their sanctions on Russia. They have to destroy Russia. And I think he actually used those words, to destroy Russia. And he also mentioned such things like the Greek connection in Ukraine, in cities like Mariupol and ODYSEE, and how those are very important to Greek history. And he talked about 300 and the Spartans, not a joke. He talked about how Mariupol should not become another 300. I'm sure everyone has seen the movie 300, and that's what he was referencing. And pretty much what he did in all of his parliament speeches, you know. Like in the US, he was talking about Pearl Harbor, and what else did he say? 9/11, MLK, and in every country, his script writers are trying to put in all of these references to certain points in history and try to connect them to the fight in Ukraine, and trying to make the connection between the Spartans and the Ukrainians, or the Americans in Pearl Harbor to the Ukrainians. And that's their goal. That's what the script writer's goal is. In Israel, they really messed up. In Israel, they tried to connect the suffering of the Holocaust to the Ukrainians, and that didn't go over well with many people in Israel. I think a large portion of the Israeli society. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone watching in Israel, just correct me if I'm wrong with Zelensky's speech in the Knesset, in the Israeli parliament. It did not go over well. He messed up here at the Greek parliament as well, because part of this theater tour, part of this play, this time around, involved actually bringing in Greek-speaking, supposedly of Greek origin, fighters from Mariupol. The only problem is that this guest appearance from this Greek fighter in Mariupol was the fact that this Greek fighter was an Azov guy. He was part of the Azov battalion, military, the Azov order, whatever you want to call it. In other words, Zelensky, his scriptwriters, his puppeteers thought it would be a good idea to bring in an NAZI to speak to the Greek parliament. And even worse is that after this NAZI gave his speech to the Greek parliament, there were actually people, parliamentarians, who stood up and applauded this man's speech. Keep in mind, Greece was occupied by the NAZIs from 1941 to 1944. The Greek population suffered dearly for what the NAZIs did to this country, the occupation, the amount of people that died during this occupation and during the war. I mean, Greeks really, really suffered. And here you have, in 2022, the Mitsotakis government bringing in this clown actor who brings in an Azov fighter, pretending to be this Greek origin Azov fighter, speaking to the Greek parliament. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. This is a dark, dark day for Greece. A very dark day for Greece and a very dark day for Mitsotakis and his government. Anyway, but this is what Mitsotakis said. Completely oblivious to what's happening, or at least his PR team is telling him to be oblivious to what happened. The mainstream media here in Greece, by the way, is trying to cover this all up. They're not reporting on this Azov guy's speech. Any of the quotes that you're getting, any of the reports that you're getting with regards to an Azov military fighter speaking in the Greek parliament, you're getting it from independent media. So once again, independent Greek media is doing a great job and they're stepping up. The mainstream media, puppets. So let me pull some quotes from Mitsotakis, because he's trying to actually make it seem like the Zelensky theater was some historic event. He said, and I'm going to translate this, so it'll be a little rough, but he said, today sitting in the Greek parliament was historic. This is the first time in the 21st century it hosted a leader of people who are fighting for their homeland. They're defending the rule of law and democracy throughout Europe. The voice of the wounded Ukrainians are standing up. They are besieged but free. He also, what else did Mitsotakis said? The prime minister, he also said that President Zelensky conveyed to all of us, to the Greeks, a courageous resistance in his fellow citizens against the violation of their most basic human rights. Zelensky described the barbarity of the invader, decimating civilians, dismantling the country's vital infrastructure, while in his words, resounding the slogans of millions who are fighting for their lives, their homes, their families, and their dreams, looking for peace and progress. Really funny, Mitsotakis calls Zelensky a democracy. Obviously, Mitsotakis has not been briefed on the fact that Zelensky banned all types of media. This is even before the conflict. Banned media, banned the opposition party, put the leader of the opposition party in prison. And he doesn't mention the fact that, actually, it's an outright lie what Mitsotakis is saying, that the Russians have targeted vital infrastructure, because you've seen Gonzalo on our live streams going on for a month now, and he's in Kharkiv, and he has full internet, full water, sewage, electricity, all of it. The Russians have gone in very, very soft, and they've made it a point not to take out infrastructure in many of the cities. Mariupol being an exception, given the fact that there were 15,000 well-dug in NAZIs using the people, many of which were Greeks, using the Greeks as human shields. Mitsotakis does not mention that either. Mitsotakis also said it was a touching call for help from Zelensky. He said, today is a dark day, but we have a present reconstruction of the martyrs of Mariupol, not only because we have to protect the Greek community there as a national duty, but because the battle for Ukraine concerns us all. He said, despotism encroaches on our neighboring territories, and revisionism abolishes borders. It must be defeated on the borders of Ukraine. And Mitsotakis also said that we need truth, unity, endurance, responsibility, so that we can win this together. It's a very rough translation, but I'm giving it to you guys. as I'm reading it. And Mitsotakis also called for the fighting to keep going on. We need to keep fighting. He said Zelensky and the army, the Azov guys, he called the Azov guys, that's who he's referring to, are generous heroes, and God does not forget you. Keep fighting. That is the Prime Minister of Greece, calling NAZIs heroes and actually allowing an NAZI to speak in the parliament. Incredible. It's an incredible day. A lot of members of the parliament and opposition parties were absolutely outraged and appalled with what they saw taking place in the parliament. Good for them. Even parties like Syriza, which I did not agree with, which was the party that previously had power in Greece, they were outraged. And let me see what they said. They were outraged that Zelensky, it was unacceptable that Zelensky, sometimes I say Zelensky, I fall back into the Z. The Z is banned, it's Zelensky. And they said, Syriza said that it was unacceptable, the fact that Zelensky had a member of the Azov order speaking in parliament. And I quote here someone from the Syriza party who said, "Today we listened with respect and solidarity to the democratically elected president of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, who resists the Russian invasion of Ukraine and expresses our support. From then on, however, it is unacceptable that today he addressed the Greek parliament together with President Zelensky, a member of the Azov order. In short time, we have a conference of presidents, of the party, and we're looking for explanations from the Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Tassoulis, if he was informed and if he agreed with this. I think this is a big shock." So Syriza is saying, did the Speaker of the Parliament actually agree to have an NAZI member speak to the Greek Parliament members? He's asking. We had a reaction from Kukue. Kukue is the Communist Party. They do have support in Greece. They have support in Greece, around 4 or 5%. It's a viable party here. The Communist Party said that they are ashamed. They are ashamed and ashamed. They are absolutely ashamed. The shame of the event was also shame for today in the parliament and in Zelensky's speech, with the NATO parties applauding and the NAZIs of the Azov order, because that is what NATO instructs and those are the commitments they require. Absolute justification for the attitude of the Kukue, for the attitude of the Communist Party. Mera 25, which is Varoufakis, they announced that their representative in parliament during the Zelensky speech left the chamber immediately after it was realized that members of the Azov order had taken the floor. Mera 25 is in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, but not with the NAZI Azov order. Mera 25 also characterized the speech as absolutely unacceptable. Utter humiliation, what happened in parliament. They said it was utter humiliation. Hellenic Solution MP said this. A Hellenic Solution MP. This was his quote, all in caps. That I'm reading it. So let me translate. Shame. That's shame. Shame in caps. That's why the Greek Solution Party, the Hellenic Solution, did not take part in this dangerous theatrics, like dangerous paradise, a dangerous event. The Greek Parliament legalized is in caps lock, the Azov order and the neo-NAZIs. Apologized to those who called them, except to listen to them, and they applauded them. Okay, the translation says the Greek Parliament apologized, they forgave them, they forgave the NAZIs, and they accepted them and listened to them, and then they applauded them. This is coming from the Greek Solution, the Hellenic Solution Party. So those are some of the quotes, roughly translated, of what happened today in Greece. A very shameful, despicable day. But I'm reporting it to you guys, and a lot of the Greek media is doing a great job reporting it as well. So a big hats off to the independent Greek media. They deserve a lot of applause for covering a story that the Greek mainstream media is trying to cover up. They're trying to actively cover this up because this was a shameful day in Greek history. Also, Zelensky didn't bring up the Turkish invasion of Cyprus. He conveniently left that out. You know why he left that out? Because Victoria Nuland does not want any mention of Turkey in that kind of light because she's trying to win Turkey over. So it would be bad PR if Zelensky brought that up. That's why he didn't bring it up. We'll see if he actually brings it up if and when he speaks to the Cypriot parliament. I don't have confirmation that he's going to speak yet to the parliament in Cyprus. We'll see if he brings up the Turkish invasion. I'm sure that Victoria Nuland is going to get very nervous to have the scriptwriters bring up the invasion of 1974 because, well, Turkey is not going to be very happy with Zelensky if he brings it up during a speech. And remember, Turkey is the big prize for the NATO powers. They need to bring Turkey on side, and they need to change Turkey's neutrality. So they're going to try to puppeteer Zelensky with skill so that he avoids bringing Turkey up in his in what could be a speech to the Cypriot parliament. In today's speech to the Greek people, to the Greek parliament, he did not bring up the invasion of 1974, but he thought it was okay to bring an NAZI into the house of the Greek parliament. Anyway, everybody, that is the video, theduran.locals.com. Take care.